And we're live.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to give it a moment as I'm seeing people filter in. All right, we're going to get started. My name's Casey Molitor. I'm really excited to be here tonight to, just have a wonderful discussion. We're here to look at our students in different areas and all of the supports that they need. Leo, can you put that on the screen?
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's see this one.
Awesome.
Should be up.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about how we're supporting our students through virtual learning. I know this has been a crazy time. I don't think any of us expected that we would be fully virtual for the 2020-2021 school year, but here we are. As much as we want to see and be in contact with our kids, unfortunately, we're not able to, but that's okay because we're going to give them all the support that they need in order to make it through this school year. So I just want to get started by letting you know who we are tonight. Next slide, Leo. So again, I'm Casey Molitor. I'm the Director of Pupil Services and Special Education. I oversee Pupil Services Special Education Department, and I have a great team here with me tonight. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Thanks, Casey. Hi, my name is Julie Knutson, and I'm the Supervisor of Pupil Services.
Good evening. My name is Erin Garnitsky, and I'm the Elementary Supervisor of Special Education.
Good evening. My name is Mike Fieres. I'm the Supervisor of Middle School Special Education.
Hello, Jeff Ennis, the Special Ed Supervisor at the high school level.
And we have a special guest star tonight, Mr. Dave Ludwig. So I'll let him just introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. David Ludwig, Director of Food Services.
Great. So tonight, again, we're going to go through all the different types of ways the district is going to help you support your child through this crazy time. And also how we're going to just help you and your families get through this. And the biggest thing that you need to know right now is who you will want to know. Through this, who should you really be contacting? And it's definitely easier when you have that one point of contact. So we wanted to go over, who that person should be right off the bat for you. So if you move on, Leo. So right off the bat, the person that you're going to want to become best friends with is your child's school counselor. This person is going to be able to give you a variety of information. They can lead you to the right person to contact. They can get in touch with that person. So they are just an invaluable resource. So we do have here all of our elementary school counselors and their information based on the school that they work in. Next slide. Our middle school counselors, again, based on their school. And finally, our high school counselors. And if you notice with our high school counselors, we did want to specify, we have 2 counselors that are for 9th grade only. So if you have a 9th grader where this is going to be very new for them, totally new environment, not just because of the virtual component of it, but everything else that goes along with 9th grade, those are the 9th grade specific counselors. And if your student is an English language learner, we have somebody dedicated for that, for those kids as well. So again, any type of question and you're not sure who to go to, always refer back to the counselor. It doesn't matter what it is, they will be able to help you. They will be able to guide you. And honestly, they know all of us. So worst case scenario, if they're not sure, they'll reach out to us and we'll be able to get you what you need. So first we want to go over our health and wellness supports. We know through all of this, there's a lot going on, from social components, healthy food, mental health. So we just really wanted to go over all of those different things that we have for you and your students, your child, so that they feel supported in every facet possible, and it's not just about the academics. So here, honestly, just a big sampling of our supports that we have available, and we'll go into a little bit more depth for some of them. But if you notice, we will be reaching out to you with a survey the week of September 7th, and this is really for your feedback, and Julie's going to talk a little bit more about that. Like I said earlier, your school counselor is a major resource, not just for your child, but for you. Our nurses are always available. We have social workers to provide counseling and to help you with other community resources. Our home and school team is available. So they are there, you know, with any residency questions, registration, attendance. So they are a wonderful team. Safe to say, very important. Really, that's, you know, safety and well-being. It's a tool that our students have been trained in, they know about, have access to 24/7. We've provided a resource folder in Schoology for our students in grades 5 through 12. And we have local agencies and facilities that are offering drop-in support. So if you need more information on that, we'll be happy to share that on an individual basis. But there are different facilities and agencies within the area that are hosting drop-in sites if you need, you know, some help with your student during this time, and help, you know, if your kids need help logging in or staying on task. So that's really important. We will have our Roosevelt Family Support Center. It's not open yet, but that will house our home and school team. So again, once it is open, we'll share some more information regarding that. On our website, we have a bunch of COVID-19 resources. And finally, we're also offering meal distribution. So we have a lot going on, and I know I just threw a lot of information at you. But again, we wanted to make sure that you know we're here for you, we're here for your kids, and we want to make sure you and your kids, the whole child, are supported in every facet possible. Julie, if you could just talk a little bit about the purpose of the outreach survey, that would be great.
Sure. Thanks, Casey. Like Casey said, the counselor is a great person for you to know. I oversee the counselor, so I'm also a point of contact. So we also want to take some of the onus off you having to reach out. That, Casey, it's indicated here the week of the 7th and maybe also the week of the 14th. We'll be sending a survey out, a Google form, to every parent of every student. So if you have multiple students, we would still ask that you complete the survey. I know that might be, it's very short. There's 5 targeted questions. We want to make sure that you have everything you need for virtual learning, everything from internet connectivity, devices, to understanding the platforms. So that would be a yes or no question. Do you have any health and wellness questions? Would you like to hear from the nurse? If you check yes, your school nurse will reach out to you. And that could be any health and wellness question for anybody in your family. The nurses are here to support you. Another yes and no question will be, do you need additional support or resources from your counselor? Again, just by checking yes, we'll do an outreach and the counselor will contact you. Any questions about our attendance? And we will speak about this later in the presentation. And just if you have any other questions or concerns and you would like a contact, you know, we will be reaching out to you. So that's really what the survey is, and strongly encourage you to please, you know, to respond for all your kids, even if your answer is no across the board. Thank you.
And it looks like we have a question, Leo.
You want to start taking them now?
It's only one. It might
Okay.
open up a can, but sure.
Sure. A moment. Okay. First one I see is Rashida. You've been allowed to speak, so you just have to unmute. Possibly a mistake.
Anyone else?
We have another one here. Juanita.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm good, thank you. My son is an 8th grader at East Norton Middle School with an IEP continuing from years past. I wanted to see, is there any special things going on that he would need to do at home, or should I be contacting each of his teachers? I know he gets a different kind of support according to his IEP. So is it something that I should be doing to make sure he's getting those services while at home?
So you have totally jumped to the other part of our presentation.
Uh-oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. So how about when we get to that point, because I think we may be able to answer your questions within our
Okay.
presentation. And if not, we can certainly come back to it.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, great, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
We have another hand if you want. Karen. There it goes.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I have two questions. What is home and school team?
Sure, that's a great question. So our home and school team is made up of our home and school visitor and our truancy abatement officer. Julie Knudsen is the supervisor of the team, so obviously a part of it. That also includes registration. So it's really just kind of more of our outreach with our families.
Okay, and what exactly is drop-in support?
Drop-in, so within the area, there are different facilities offering support where if you contact them, they're allowing you to drop your child off there and they will essentially oversee the virtual learning. There may be a cost associated with that, but that is something that is happening in the area.
And you're going to provide a list of those locations?
If you reach out to us individually, we can help you through that.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
And just to add to that, Casey, with the COVID-19 resources, that's on our front page, the home web under community, and we're continuing to update that. So I would also encourage you, we'll try and put as much there, and it's categorized, the different resources that are up to date. So, if you can continually check on the web, there may be some really helpful resources for you as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Right. I know, so throughout the summer, we had our summer feeding program. And given that we're in a virtual environment, this was something that was important for us to continue. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ludwig.
Thanks, Casey. So we will continue with meal distribution. They'll be distributed on Wednesdays beginning on September 9th. And unlike in the summertime, we were able to, under Seamless Summer, we were able to feed all siblings in their families, even if they were not enrolled at the Norristown Area School District. So as we move into the virtual school year, the meals being distributed can only be for enrolled Norristown Area School District students. So each box on a normal basis will contain 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches. Now, an exception to those rules would be any holidays or days off from school then we would not be providing a meal for that day. So there are a few weeks where there may be 4 meals in the box. We did a parent survey regarding locations and times. And what we come up with is Gottwalls Elementary and the high school. So we had about half and half feedback on afternoon and morning. So we're going to do a distribution at Gottwalls Elementary from 8 to 10 a.m. and then at the high school in the afternoon from 3 to 5. Any questions? Well, Casey, I can do questions if you like, or I can say those.
Yeah, no, I think if there's a question directly associated to meals, may as well.
There's one hand up. Anthea?
Hi, I wanted to know if the meal was going to be like the same kind of food as what was distributed before.
Yeah, so there'll be, we gave Jump Starts out for breakfast during the summer. There will be some different types of breakfast items in there. A few Jump Starts, but muffins, cinnamon rolls, fruit juice. And then the lunches will be made up of some salads with meat offerings, some pasta salads with meat offerings, burgers, hot dogs, chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, fillets, things of that nature, with fruit and vegetable as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, we have another question from Stacy. Let's see if that helps.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay, perfect. We were not part of the summer lunch program, so I was just wondering how would I go about picking those up? Do I need to bring anything to show my students' registration, or how do we participate?
No, you just need to stop by the location during those times, and we're going to be asking for students' names, and then we're going to check those off on a student roster. So we'll be able to see every student in the district. We're just going to be asking for students' names.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we have next one here, Eamon.
I have a question, please.
Sure.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Do you serve any pork, like ham or bacon? You know, my kids,
No.
they don't eat any pork.
No, there will be no pork or bacon in the boxes, in the distribution boxes.
How about the ham? You mix it with the pasta. This turkey ham?
It is. When we do serve ham, it is turkey ham.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Next up, we have a no name. It's a Galaxy phone.
Hi, this is Anne Marie.
Hello.
Hi, I don't have a vehicle and I can't get to either of these locations.
Okay, at this time, we do not have a plan to deliver meals. Do you have any friends or family that could help you out?
Not really nearby. I mean, and I'm an essential worker, so a lot of these days I am working. And her dad works nights and has to sleep.
Okay.
This has always been a problem. Our aide used to bring it to us because you did it like every 2 weeks, but I think she's been redeployed to someone else.
Okay, let me brainstorm that one. Currently, we do not have a plan to deliver meals.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gottwell's, I can't even get a bus to get there easily. and then to carry the stuff back. And the high school, if I took an Uber, you're talking about a $25 round trip.
Okay. Let me do some brainstorming.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Next up on the list, we have Rebecca.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Rebecca. Yes.
Yep. Hi.
When you mentioned students within the school district, Norristown School District, do you mean any school in the school district or just Norristown schools?
Just Norristown schools.
Okay. So just like you're based the Norristown schools, so no other
Right.
schools in the district.
Correct. You would need to be enrolled in the in the Norristown area elementary schools, middle schools, or the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Next up on the list, we have Kristen.
Yes, I was wondering, so when the meals were being distributed, were the kids off of school? Or is it going to be around times that the kids are not at school?
Right. So we're doing 2 times to fit parents and guardian schedules. So I believe every day at 3:30 they're done. Is that true, Casey?
Yes.
Yes. So that's why we're allowing that time from 3 to 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I was getting my son out of the tub. That's my fault. I
Okay.
apologize.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Next we have Julie.
Hi. I know
Julie.
that we have been talking with, I have been speaking with other parents, and I am an essential worker as well. And we were trying to see if that maybe some of us after work, like say between 6 and 8, could volunteer to either some of us drop off to people who cannot get there, or be at like the high school to hand out to people that can get there later on in the evening. So that just may be something you guys may want to throw around, that parents would want to volunteer for that.
Yeah, it's something I'll brainstorm, Julie. The National School Lunch Program has a lot more restrictions than Seamless Summer does. So I have to do some brainstorming, like Anna Marie said earlier, about delivering meals. We just have to think through that. They all have to be accounted for. So we have to ask student names. We have to do the check off the student roster. So there's a lot more to it than Seamless Summer, where we were able to give distribute food out to anyone under 18.
No, I understand that point. What I'm saying is us parents, we would be able to help volunteer to do that for you, to
Correct.
help other parents out.
But then I would need to have someone there to check the list off that would be working for the school district.
Oh, okay. I understand that. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Next up is Kristen.
Yes, that was actually my idea as well.
Thanks, Kristen.
I was going to say I'd love to volunteer and pick up meals and distribute, but if it turns out that you can figure out a way, I'll just know you have some volunteers.
Thank you, Kristen.
Welcome.
Thank you all so much for that. I mean, that just really shows how much of a community we have, how we really do want to pull together during this time. So even if we're unable to do that because of the regulations, just know how appreciative we are that you're even offering to do it.
All right, next up on the list is Anna.
I was wondering how often you guys were gonna have the pickup meal done. Is it gonna be like every week or every 2 weeks?
It's going to be every week on a Wednesday. We're starting on September 9th. And if they're not there already, they're being added to the district calendar on the website. So each Wednesday, beginning on September 9th.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And next we have Debbie.
Hold on one sec.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure, we can.
Hi. Have you guys given, or is there any thought to continuing with the EBT cards and instead, or for those that maybe don't have the ability to get to the pickup locations? Just another thought.
The district or the food service program has no jurisdiction over the EBT cards. We did not put those out.
Okay.
That was the Pennsylvania Human Services. So we had no involvement with the EBT cards.
Oh, okay. What about the, I know with what food was handed out in the past, it always seemed to be like the same meals. I know, is there any more variety, hopefully maybe coming at least?
Well, we have a 5-week rotation.
Okay.
And during that rotation, besides different chicken products and pizza products, there's a good variety of food on the 5-week rotation.
Okay, because it just seemed like the ones that were given out every 2 weeks, I don't know whether we just happened to end up with the same same things in each box every time, but
there was some variety over the summer, but I agree with you. Another issue we had over the summertime was the ability to actually purchase the food, the availability. So we're seeing the manufacturers pick up the pace a little bit since schools are opening. So, we're hoping that they're going to be available.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
What else does that get? I believe that does it for the raised hands for this section.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to attendance. This is definitely going to be a little bit different this go around than it was in the spring. So I'm going to hand it off to Julie as our attendance is part of our home and school team. And she has been working with schools in regards to our attendance practice moving forward.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. Yes, very different than it was in the spring. I have to be honest, in the spring, we just wanted to make sure kids were logging on and they were okay. We didn't keep track of how much time they were on. We didn't really keep track of how much work was produced. There was so many moving parts. And with that, we learned a lot of lessons and are starting off on a very, very different foot. Also with that said, following the guidelines of PDE, Pennsylvania Department of Education. So we were in alignment last year. That has changed, which we're back to enforcing attendance. And attendance means every child needs to be logged in on their computer, and we can do, share the times. I think that might be on the next slide. Is it, Leo? With high school, yep, at 7:30 in the morning, that's when they'll have their first synchronous class. So attendance will be taken in every synchronous class, every period. Middle school, the kids will log on at 8 o'clock in the morning for their homeroom. The synchronous classes start a little bit later in the day, but we will be, taking attendance and who is logged on at 8 o'clock in the middle school. And you can see in elementary, the first attendance point is at 9 a.m. that the children are logged in, ready to learn on their Chromebooks. By 10 o'clock in the morning, we will send a ConnectEd call out informing all parents if their child has not logged onto the computer. That's just the first attendance point. Throughout the day, the teachers will be taking attendance, like I said, in all the synchronous classes, and all the work is going to be expected. Additionally, we will follow all the guidelines around compulsory attendance, and if the children are truant, we will follow that protocol as well. We'll introduce student attendance improvement plans, all the way which we want to avoid if we have to look at truancy court and citations. I mean, that's the whole other spectrum, but really want you to understand the importance of compulsory attendance.
And just to compulsory attendance, so compulsory age, which is the age that kids are required to go to school, is now ages 6 through 18, and that is a change this school year as well. It used to be ages 8 to 17. So I just want everybody to be aware that that's been a big change this year. But I also want everybody to understand that these check-ins or these calls to let you know that your child hasn't logged on is not meant to be a gotcha. It's really meant to be a help ya. We want to make sure that your connectivity is working. We want to make sure that you're not having issues, or, you know, we just want to make sure everybody's okay.
You know, you left for work and you just assumed your child was up and logged on. We don't want you to wait all day to say, no, you thought your child was ready to go and they're not on. So like Casey said, it's absolutely very supportive. And as we all get used to it and helping the children develop good patterns again. I mean, you know, not only after summer, it's months of being, you know, not as scheduled. So we're asking high school students to be up and ready at 7:30. We understand that's a big, you know, shift now.
Right. So I hope everybody understands this is really more of a means to make sure you and your kids are supported. And then we will help you and work with you to figure out whatever the issue is and a solution.
And exactly, and with that said, going back to how Casey started the presentation, please call your counselor. The best thing is to over communicate or send an email, and any issue around, you know, attendance, logging on, that they can then, you know, support you and get the answers and the resources that you need.
And to that notion, if something does come up, there's an emergency and you weren't able to log on, you know, again, just let the counselor know. They'll be able to ensure that everything's coded the way it needs to be. Looks like we have some hands centered around attendance.
All right, first one is Sinna. Wait a second.
Looks like Sinna's muted.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the next. We have Kimberly.
Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, I have a few questions concerning this. I do understand what everybody said concerning the compulsory attendance and everything, but I think there's no flexibility in this time. My son is new to the high school. He also has an IEP. Besides that, I'm a single parent. I'm pregnant, and I'll be going in shortly to have my baby, which will be a C-section. Like I said, I have little help to monitor my son to say he's going to be logging in at 7:30. And the fact that we've been out of a steady schedule, being out of school since March, I feel that it's a little bit too much to ask these students to be up by 7:30 when everything has been chaotic since March. And my concerns are this is just attendance. My concerns are very broad about the whole attendance. This is a part of their, like you said, if we call the counselors, what is in place for that? Like, what exactly is in place? Because in my situation, I can't speak for everyone. How would that work? I'm still going to the doctors twice a week because I'm a high-risk pregnancy. So at least I know out of 2 days out of the week, I'm not in the house during that morning time to monitor him and make sure he's doing what he's supposed to do.
So in that, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt. So for those, you know, very specific cases, reaching out to the counselor is just for that reason, to reach out, let them know what's going on, and they'll help come up with a plan with you, and something that, you know, we can work in regards to your very specific circumstances. So that's where we say just reaching out and communicating so that we're aware, and then we'll help figure out a plan so that, you know, your son is still successful.
Okay, will we touch on IEPs while we're in this Zoom meeting tonight?
Yes, that's later on in the presentation.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Moving on to our next. We have Kim.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, there's a lot of Kim, so I thought I was the last one. So basically, I have a couple attendance questions. I have one child with at least 8 years of perfect attendance. I am struggling to schedule upcoming doctor's appointments for him because it seems like I can't, you know, have him, you know, he used to come to school in the beginning of the day, and then if I had to pull him at like 10 o'clock to get to the doctor's, he didn't miss his perfect attendance. Now you're saying he has to log in every class or he misses his perfect attendance, and he's worried about losing his, you know, certificate. So how does that work? I don't understand.
So again, for these very specific cases, that's where, you know, reaching out to the counselor is very important so that they can work with you to figure out a solution.
Yeah, because if they're not logged into every single class, they're going to be marked absent for the day. Is that what you're saying? Because that's not like it used to be.
It's synchronous and asynchronous, so it's a little bit confusing. I think, you know, again, for sure, communicating with the counselor, but the synchronous is a portion of the day. It's, what is it, Casey, about 3.5 hours, 4 hours of the day, and then the asynchronous is when they work a little bit more independently. So again, working with your counselor and getting the schedules, if it would be making those appointments during the asynchronous time, if it's communicating and there's a note and they're in so many synchronous classes, you know, we are very child-centered, and there's going to be so many, you know, individual situations. That's why we led the presentation that the counselor is the best one to communicate with, flush it out, work with the building administrator, and then with the supervisors, with you know, administrators on up to make sure that we meet the needs of your individual students.
Okay, so basically I'd have to talk to them every time I make a doctor's appointment, so he wouldn't be marked absent for the whole day if he just missed like one synchronous class.
Yeah, I would work it right, as long as he's not missing every single class. And
Right, yeah.
You've always worked around that, so.
Right, yeah. And so basically dealing with just if your child is sick, what do? Do you log in for them and say, hi, my child's sick today? Or do I just log in the next day and say they were out sick? I like,
no, so that will be the same as it has been. You're going to report all absences to the building or attendance secretary. So you would call that in the same way you would if we were in person.
Okay, so I would just call and say they're sick today. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And then 3 days they would need a note. Would they then mail the note in, or
mail,
no one there?
email? You can email it.
Yeah.
Take a picture of it. Yeah.
Would it email to the counselor, or is it emailed to the school district, or?
To the counselor. Like I said, the counselor is going to be your best point of contact because
yeah,
they know.
I don't know who my counselor is, so I have to figure that out. I guess I have to.
At the beginning of the presentation, and this is going to be posted for you, we have a list of all the counselors and the buildings.
Yeah, I took a photo of that real quick before it flung off, and when I re-looked up my photo, the counselor that my son said he has is listed under a different grade. So I was like thinking, now I don't know who his counselor is. Okay, so he thought he had Miss Snaith, and it says 9th grade only.
That's even if you still reach out to Miss Snaith, she'll be able to direct you.
Okay. All right. So,
and and honestly, that's why we wanted everybody to have the entire list of all the counselors, because regardless of, even if it's a totally different school, they'll be able to find the right person in the right building for you.
Okay. And you're still gonna explain, I know you didn't get to this yet, about when they're gonna receive their gifted class, when that's gonna be thrown in?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's just worried about his perfect attendance. I wanted to try to figure this out because I have some upcoming appointments. I'm trying to figure the schedule out, and it's very stressful because my daughter has the afternoon classes and the boys have the morning classes. So I'm trying to fit it in between all that. So, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
Okay, next up we have John.
It's okay. I think you kind of answered my question. I was just wondering about doctor's appointments and then reporting for like excused absences, but just email to the attendance office, it sounds like.
You got it.
Hey. I'm still, okay, I'm still up. Next up we have Amber. Oh, see, she's unmuted, but there's no sound. All right, moving on to the next. We have Charlene.
Unmute. Hello?
There you go.
Hi, how are you
got it.
tonight?
Hi, I'm new at this, so I'm working it out. How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Trying to stay sane a little bit. I have two questions, if I may. My youngest is going to attend at Cole Manor, and he's in the spectrum, which, you know, he has his IEP. But it was a little frustrating when it all started with the whole Chromebook for him that he does not stay seated. What combinations, if it doesn't work out this time for him? I don't know. I got to get an email who his third grade teacher is, but I don't even know because he's in a regular setting. I don't know if she knows what, you know, how he is. Like, I don't know if the previous teacher spoke to her and let her know the difficulties that he has in a regular setting.
Sure. So again, not knowing, reaching out to the counselor, and for more student-specific questions, we can take those on an individual basis at another time, just so that we address your concerns as they pertain to your child and his difficulties. But we'll also be going over, you know, IEPs and how that's going to be a little bit different this go around. So if you stay tuned for a little bit longer, hopefully we answer that question. But if not, we'll just ask you to reach out to one of us so that we can do so individually.
Okay, and then my next question, excuse me, my oldest son is going to 5th grade to Eisenhower, and I have not received no type of information, and I've been trying to reach out, but no one has answered me. When will I know, like, who his teacher is going to be? I already see that on here that they start at 8 o'clock. So I'm wondering who is his teacher? Like, how would I know that information if they're not answering their phone nor returning the calls?
So I would have you reach out to the counselor. I hate to be a broken record, but I'll be honest, they really do know so much. So if you have reached out to the counselor, then we'll make note tonight, and if you can email one of us, we'll certainly get back to you. And if you haven't reached out to the counselor, they would definitely be able to help you. I'm going to be 100% transparent. I don't know when class lists or anything like that went out to parents or class assignments. And I feel your worry, concern there, because I'm still waiting for my sons in different school districts. So, so I completely understand.
It's overwhelming trying to figure out, like, how do we go about this? Nobody's reaching out. Everybody's going through, you know, different issues. So it's like Mondays are right around the corner. School's already starting. I don't even know. Are we supposed to, is there a supply list, or is everything on the computer until further notice? I don't even know about that.
Right. Yeah, everything right now is on the computer. Again, I would encourage you to reach out to, you said Eisenhower, correct?
My oldest son, yes, he's going to Eisenhower, and my little one is still at Cole Manor.
Okay, so reaching out to Ms. Martin, Ms. Weber, or Mr. Hadrick, they'll definitely be able to help you.
So definitely the school is closed if I was to appear there to speak to someone in person?
All of our school building, all of our buildings are closed to the public right now, yes.
Okay.
Just due to the safety and well-being of everybody.
Understandable. All righty then. Well, thank you so much for answering this question.
Absolutely. And if you continue to not get a response, please just reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to step in.
Will do. Thank you.
Sure.
Next up on the list, we have Karen.
Hi.
Hello.
I think my question was already answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next up, we have Anna.
I missed the counselor list. Will you guys will be able to put it on the screen so we could take a screenshot of it? Thank you.
Which level would you like? This one's the high school list.
Yes, the high school. Yes.
And just a reminder too, this whole presentation will be posted on the website. So even if you don't have it right now, you can still reference it later.
Next up, we have Amber.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick, Ms. Charlene, I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. I also was told to reach out to Mr. Rodriguez over at Eisenhower, and he'll be happy to help you as well.
Okay, Amber, you're up.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
We do.
Okay, I think this question is geared a little bit more towards Leo, but I'm concerned about getting my daughter logged on so that she is not marked late or absent for school. How do I the QR code that I was provided with in the mailing that was sent out?
So the QR code is meant for elementary Chromebooks. So did you pick up one of our Chromebooks or are you using your own device?
No, I picked up one of the Chromebooks.
Okay, so over this past weekend here, just a couple days back, I transitioned many of the elementary school handouts to accept those QR codes as the login method. And if it hasn't updated yet, I would just need to know which device and I can go make sure that it gets changed over to elementary school mode, as I'll call it. But the screen will change when you turn the Chromebook on. It will not have a place to type in a password. It's just you click next and the camera will turn on. You just show the QR code to it. It logs the student in.
Okay, I tried logging on this morning and it lets me log on just using the ID and her password that I was provided with. So what do I need to do to get it set to use the QR code?
Let's see. If you want to provide the machine ID now, we can. Or if you want to call the help desk tomorrow morning, they can pass it along to me and I'll get it moved over.
I can provide that information to you right this very moment if you want.
Sure.
Do we want to provide that information in a public forum?
So, I mean, the device ID is a device ID. I don't think there's anything necessarily private about it. It's just which one in my system it is. Because we have thousands, yeah.
What information do you need off of it? I have it right in front of me.
Sure. On the very top, there would be, there's property of North Center School District. There should also be either letters, numbers in the upper left and right or top center.
Okay, there's an HE04.
All right. And there should be a number in the top right corner as well then.
Yes, 06.
Okay, one moment. HE0406. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. That's HE 0406. And there it is. Okay. I'll get the device moved over. So after the next login or so, it'll switch over to request the quick card.
Okay.
It may take 1 or 2 logins. Now note, if you've signed the student in with its ID and they're going to move to the quick card, the Chromebook will get a little confused saying, hey, do you have the student's password? You can just say you forget and continue anyway. It'll let the student log in.
Okay.
Transitioning from the user ID to quick card will produce that weird different password message because the QR code technically uses a different password to log them in. But it'll start working soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course, you're very welcome. All right, I gotta get my participant list back up. Here we go. All right. Next up, we have Debbie.
Yes, hi. I just actually wanted to give some information. I'm not sure that anybody was aware. I know for elementary school, you can see the students' schedules through home access, but for middle school, it's not up and running yet. But if you log into the child's Chromebook and go into Schoology, and you go click on courses, you'll actually see their courses. And there's the course number will actually corresponds with their period number. And if you go into the course and click on members, you'll see not only the assigned teacher, but also the other students in the class, and whatever class they have for first period, that teacher is their homeroom teacher. I don't know. I haven't seen any kind of like a job aid or cheat sheet on how to do that from the district, but I made one the other day when I was in there doing it to help a couple other parents that were trying to understand how to get to where I got to. I can always email it to somebody if you guys want to use it to post on the website as well.
Yeah, the Home Access Center is slowly being enabled right now as the buildings are finalizing their schedules. Some of the data did get copied over to Schoology in the background as the teachers are prepping their classes. So yeah, you did find a interesting way in. So we weren't publicizing the Schoology route only because classes were still being adjusted and changed. So if you look before and then look now, it could be different or changed.
Right.
But I do know Home Access is being open. That is the easiest way to find the information. And I know that some of the stuff did get turned on and the rest should be getting turned on shortly.
Okay.
So as everything is locked in and made official, you happen to find a way in.
I wasn't sure if they knew that. I actually found my way in there last week and I had to call the middle school for my son and have something adjusted. So I was asked, how did you find that information? So I shared it, but I didn't share it with any public people until Monday when they said it was supposed to be open.
So yeah, the early bird method, you got in, you found it.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. All right.
Again, thank you. I just love the fact that we have so many people willing to help one another out. It's just, we know this is a great place to be, and you guys really prove that.
Our next one here, we have, let's see, Dara.
Hi, just a question about Google Classroom, and then of course attending the classes, because of course like you have to be in all the Google Classrooms, I'm guessing, to attend classes. So tomorrow's Thursday, when should we be getting invitations into Google Classrooms? I know my son got the learning support teacher, we got in that class, and the regular teacher for second grade, and then we have some specials we got invited to recently. But my daughter has not been invited to anything except just some specials. So just in general, just wondering when we, if we don't get invited by Friday or the weekend into everything, how do we attend classes anyway to show that we're there and attending?
If that's the case, again, just email the counselor and let them know that you've not received the invitations to enter the classroom, so that one, we're aware that that happened and you still need the invitation, and two, so that nobody's marked absent.
Okay, so just email the guidance counselor, and that's about it.
Also, as a
Yeah.
note, I'll step in a little bit. The classroom monitoring software that the teachers will have access to, they can, as long as your students logged into the Chromebook, they can see they're there, if the Google Classroom's been prepped or not yet. And the teacher can call the students and introduce themselves and hold class and do presentations and things.
Part of my problem is that the school district has my email and my phone number. They said they were allowed to put one parent in the system, but I'm not really going to be around and my husband's going to be doing all the work. So that's a concern. And that's, I mean, that's going to be an issue when they're trying to reach, if that happens, reach, let's say through me, and I'm not available to deal with it. And he's the one sitting home with her.
So again, I would let the counselor know that your husband's going to be the one working with your kids, and that he should be the contact and, you know, give his number and whatnot.
I just don't want to switch it with the school, because I honestly need to be the main contact, because I'm the one that's pretty much good at keeping track of everything and managing everything. So I just want to still be in the loop, but I don't want to be out of the loop, because I don't think that's good.
No, absolutely. No, we'll keep you as a contact within the system. But if you let the counselors know the situation in which, you know, for the time being, your husband's going to be the one working with the kids at home, so that they, you know, have his number and know to contact him for those types of things, or follow up with an email to both of you. So we would not take you out of the loop by any means.
All right. Thanks.
Sure thing.
All right, one last hand up. Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, I have a quick question regarding the attendance. My daughter still has her Chromebook from 4th grade, and we noticed at orientation yesterday when we tried to go to the Schoology part, none of her information is updated. Is this is something that needs to be done, or is there anything that I need
I'll
to
step
do?
in for that. No, nothing
Okay.
you need to do. It's a matter of us working with the syncing between eSchool and Schoology right now. That has been
Okay.
the IT department's challenge over the last 2 days, trying to troubleshoot why some kids are not copied over yet. They'll make their way in. We're actively
Okay.
working on that. So
Okay,
nothing you
thank
need to
you.
worry about. If you can get in, that's a good sign. The classes should be coming shortly.
Okay, thank you very
All right?
much.
Of course, not a problem. That's the last hand for this section. Let me progress forward again.
Okay. So moving on. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we're going to support students with 504 plans and GIEPs. Again, I'll turn this over to Julie Knudsen.
Thanks, Casey. So pretty succinct with 504 plans, we'll start with that. They are all still in place. You should be communicating with your counselors. Any relevant accommodations for the virtual setting will be implemented. If they need to be reconvened, I know we do sound like broken records, but it is communicating with your guidance counselor, and they really are the point people that you should have been working with your 504 plans. If you're in need of a 504 plan, it's the first time for your student, again, it would be contacting the school nurse with the appropriate documentation so we can get the plan started. Even if you think there might not be a need for accommodations in the virtual setting, it would be great to connect and discuss it, and then schedule a meeting for when we come back into the buildings. So really that's it in a nutshell. They are, building specific, child specific. The counselor is the lead on the plan, and I'm the overall coordinator and work closely with the building counselors.
So when in doubt, call the counselor.
Yeah. And then I don't know to move forward with the GIEPs, and I know that one parent had asked about that. The bottom line with that, you should be hearing from the teacher of the gifted students by next week. They were informed and told that they needed to contact their students and families to talk about the GIEPs and what that's going to look like. It's, different now at the high school. So it's Steve Donetto and Amy Fowler. They are the teachers of the gifted in the high school. I don't know if we have that listed. We do here. So we have their names. You will be hearing from them. All of the teachers will be reaching out. Jamie Scavillo will be providing support and services to all the elementary schools. It says Vicki Strickland at East Norriton, and you have Cindy McGeehan. So they are also in conjunction reaching out to you, working with the classroom teachers to develop the schedule of push-in during synchronous times and additional lessons and meetings during the asynchronous times.
Looks like we have a question, Leo.
You are correct. Allowed to talk. Here you go.
Hi, yes. My question is that my son was in the middle of going through the gifted testing when COVID started. So I was wondering what is going to be the next, what's going to happen next? Is he going to be able to finish it? Does he have to start it over, or is he just out of the program because he can't do the testing in person?
So you again got ahead of us. We were going to address evaluations later on in the presentation. The short answer is we will be resuming evaluations, but the little bit longer answer I'm going to save until that part of the presentation, if that's okay with you.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, it keeps closing the window. Okay. Okay, we're good. So next up. Oh, we're out of questions. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah.
Next slide.
All right. So supporting students with IEPs. I'm sure a lot of you have questions about this. This is going to look a bit different than last spring because we are doing things a little bit differently. The main thing here is, while we keep saying, if you have questions, talk to your counselor, talk to your counselor, talk to your counselor. If you do know your child's IEP case manager, that's also another vital resource for you. They are wonderful people. They know a lot as well. So I don't want you to think that you can't go to them, especially if you have that relationship. So, if we move on to the next slide, I'll share a little bit how the supports this go around are going to be different. So when COVID happened, we were kind of thrust into this virtual environment, and we weren't sure what services would look like. And really, we did things, in a state of emergency because that's what we were in. Moving forward, it's definitely going to be different in that we're going to have related services within the same frequency and duration that are in the IEP. So if the current IEP says 30 minutes of individual speech therapy, then that's going to continue virtually for your child. So that's something where before, getting used to everything, services may not have been the same frequency or duration. Moving forward, that will be the same. If your child has counseling in their IEP for 30 minutes twice a week, that will continue to happen. Another difference here, the interventions that your child was receiving in the school building, they will be implemented synchronously. I know one of the big struggles was, and I'll be honest with you, I had it with my own child who has an IEP as well. Even if the teacher video, asynchronous video, was 2 minutes long, he didn't really want to watch it. But when he was on live synchronously with his teacher, he was a bit more engaged. So the interventions, whether it be reading, math, writing, social skills, all of those things will take place with live instruction. We're able to do small groups. We're able to, going on to the next one, within that, our special ed teachers will be able to, quote unquote, push into, too far, Leo. push into the classrooms to be another support. So even if in the general ed class, a child needs some prompting or some extra help, the special ed teacher is actually going to be able to provide that in that setting. So that's a big difference that's go around. You know, we're going to be able to do push-ins, small groups, individual sessions, all within different parts of the day to help your kid, to help your child. Again, this, I think, will help students be more engaged. And while we absolutely understand the screen time component, breaks will be built in, even, you know, doing Go Noodle, all those different things to get kids up and moving throughout lessons. Those things will continue to take place. Go ahead, Leo. Another difference is, so paraprofessional support will be provided within that virtual classroom setting. They'll be prompting kids, reinforcing kids. They will be pulling small groups and individual kids to work with them. So again, if I'm in my synchronous lesson and I notice Johnny's having a hard time, my paraprofessional will be able to take Johnny and work with him in a different quote unquote room within that setting, and I'll still be able to monitor what's going on. But again, he's getting that individual support. So we've just really enhanced how we're offering different types of supports in that regard. So with all of that, you know, our current IEPs were to a point written for in-person instruction for the most part. But with the virtual environment, revisions may be necessary because there may be things your child needs in a virtual setting that they didn't need in a brick and mortar setting. There may be things that they had in person and brick and mortar that they don't need in a virtual setting. So case managers will be contacting you to schedule meetings and look at IEPs to determine if there's a need for necessary changes. Some of those things may include nursing services, transportation, SDIs. Obviously, we're not transporting your child to your home, they're already there. So that might be something that a revision's necessary to really just add that when we're in person, we will provide transportation. For individual concerns or questions, I will ask that you reach out to your case managers, and if you're not sure who that is, reach out to us. But this is really kind of that broad overview of how things are a little bit different moving forward. We have a few questions, Leo.
I just looked down and saw that. Yep. All right. First one,
keep
Kristen.
it on it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so quick question. Both my children, one going into first grade, the other going into fourth. The first grade has autism. I'm linked up with his teacher, perfectly cool for the year. My daughter, on the other hand, for the last 2 years, she's been getting pulled for math and reading. On our schedule this year, she stays in the math class for 40 minutes and then gets pulled for 20 minutes. My concern is she hasn't been learning at the same level as all the other kids in the class that she's at. So I'm nervous that she's going to be learning in there, get so confused, and then get pulled and learn something completely different. Because what she was learning in math class last year wasn't what her regular class was learning. So my concern is that she's going to be in a class for a half an hour, be completely out of her mind behind, and then get pulled and learn something new. Will the teacher be backing up what she's learning in math class when she gets pulled?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure people are tired of me speaking anyway.
Well, just because it's elementary, so I figured I could take this one, and I apologize. I did move location, so it says Mr. Ennis's name and not mine. But I can assure you that the general education teacher and the special education teacher will be communicating really to talk about what they're doing in both settings.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I agree that we really, we don't want when your child's pulled for them to be doing something completely different or off base of what they are doing in the gen ed setting. So I can assure you that they will be communicating, and that is something I can address with the teachers as a whole as well, just to
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so next, Leslie.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So my child has behavioral support as well as a GIEP. As far as we know, he has been moved to East Norton. He was previously at Stewart, but as far as I know, all of the behavioral support is now at East Norton. So my question is, will I receive contact from whoever his case manager is, which I don't know yet because we are obviously we're brand new to East Norton. So I'm just wondering, will I get contact? Do I have to reach out to someone in particular? I'm just not sure since we're brand new to a different school.
Sure, yes, you'll absolutely get contacted by the case manager. Also on this call is Mr. Fierres, who's our middle school supervisor of special education. So he can definitely make sure, he'll make sure that he touches base with your child's case manager so that they reach out to you. And if you don't hear from them, please reach out to him or myself so that we let you know who that is and how they'll be supporting your son.
Okay, so all of his information was transferred to East Norton because of the movement of the whole behavioral support, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we moved the emotional support program from Stewart over to East Norton, and everything associated with that has gone with it. So the current teacher has all of the information, has access to IEPs, and all other vital information as well.
And his GIEP and his behavioral support will take place in the morning with the asynchronous time?
Most likely, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure thing.
There's a mic. Okay. Next we have Anna.
Yes, I was wondering because we haven't received any information about my son's IEP as well. He's starting in the high school. So we are really concerned because we did have a problem with virtual during the time that we were off, and we haven't received any information about his case manager. And I'm really, really concerned about this because last year he had to be hospitalized twice because of the problems at school.
So again, yes, we'll definitely make sure that his case manager reaches out to you. All of our teachers are working hard to make that contact this week. This is the first week they've been in, so they've been running a mile a minute, which is obviously not an excuse, but yes, you will be getting contact from case managers, especially knowing that we are going to have to be revising IEPs in all honesty, just for that situation, so that they have an understanding of what happened in the spring. How do we prevent that? What are some added supports we may need to provide?
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Next up we have Kristen.
Yes, hi, thank you. So my son is just going from Hancock over to East Norton. He has an IEP. He is severely ADHD. Now last year you guys gave out packets. He has a terrible time sitting still, and he has he's on medication twice a day. So some hours are better than others. I mean, I will be able to have him logged in and attendance and all those things. And I was able to get the work in, and I sent it into the teachers and via email. You know, Ms. Kerr, like his teachers last year were very, in contact with me and very pleased with his work. But is there going to be a packet option where, God forbid, he can't get on in the morning or he can't get on in the afternoon because he's just too hyper and I can't get him together? Am I going to have that option?
There are no packet options, but I will say this. If you're having a hard time with your son, please reach out to us so that we can sit down, we can have a meeting with you and with him to really talk it through. Again, some of the feedback we received was, synchronous time, kids were more engaged. Obviously, asynchronous time was a little bit harder. We're having more synchronous time within the school day this go around, but if there are added things we need to build into your son's schedule, like added movement breaks, scheduled movement breaks, we can absolutely do that. So if you notice that he's starting to have a hard time, reach out as soon as possible to either, if this was live and you could say it back to me, I'd say to either the school counselor or to your child's case manager.
Okay.
Okay. But
Yeah,
don't wait. I'll be honest with you. Don't wait until it gets to the point where now it's become a habit for him. And we want to be able to help you the second you need help.
Right. It was great how they had it set up last year. Monday they gave you an assignment. They did a lesson. I had all this time to reteach it to him, and I could email it in when it was due, and I was very prompt with that. That was very simple. This just looks like it's going to be like workbook in the AM with me, and then my mom is going to take over in the afternoon with the iPad or the Chromebook, I'm sorry, and that A, she can't work, and B, he just doesn't sit still. I have a child that cannot sit still for more than 15 minutes unless he is fully medicated and focused. That's why I asked for the packet option. I know it's not an option now, but I mean, he's just going to have to make it work.
Yeah, and honestly, I totally understand. And you're not the first person to ask about the packet. To be honest with you, you're not. But again, we want to be able to support him and support you. So if you notice he can't sit still for more than 15 minutes, let's have that conversation and we'll figure out how to get things done.
Now, another thing to piggyback onto that. Now, did his IEP teacher / Ms. Kerper, his 4th grade teacher, get in contact with his new 5th grade teachers and they know about Brendan's IEP and what's in it and his fidgetiness and all of those other obstacles that he struggles with? Do they contact the upcoming school year teacher to let them know who Brendan is as a human being, if per se? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Like I said, I think people are tired of me.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that we do have middle school transition meetings. So we had those in the spring. And that allows all of the 4th grade teachers to provide input and talk about what works, what doesn't work. We give that information to the receiving teacher as well as the principal, vice principal, things like that. So the receiving teachers do have all of that information.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie. I'm a little different than most of these other parents. My daughter's in her last year. She's 20 years old. She's has Down syndrome and is very much verbal delays. We've tried this on it. She barely waves at her teacher and then she zones out. She can't even get into this online stuff. I'm not sure this is going to work, especially since I'm a essential employee and have to work during parts of these times.
Okay, so I'll encourage you to reach out to Jeff Ennis, the supervisor, just because this is a very specific question to you and your daughter, and we can schedule a meeting to kind of walk through it.
Okay, because you can understand, I work for an elderly care facility. I have to be there. They need to be fed.
Oh, absolutely. I completely understand. Absolutely. Which is why, again, I think it'd be best if we have a meeting to discuss your specific concerns.
Okay, I mean, this is not what her last year was supposed to look like. And this is, I'm so frustrated right now.
I completely understand that. I don't know that anybody was thinking, even last year, for those students who graduated last year, that the end of their year was going to look like that either. So I think, you know, together we are better, and we're going to work together, and we'll make sure you and your daughter are completely supported.
Casey,
Okay, I just don't see it working for her. She can't, she's not even one that plays on the computer by herself. She is not.
Jump in, I'm sorry, just real quick. And in relation to the low incidence population, we've done a great deal with knowing that you're right. This is not the most ideal situation for a lot of students, our nonverbal students, our students with ID, autism, in some of those programs. But we're working with our teachers, and their specific protocol that's going to look a little bit different, of course, than it was in the spring. So know that we are looking, you know, at specific needs of students when we are programming for each student.
Okay. Thank you.
Where my participant, let's go. Okay, here it is. Just table talking. Next, Norhan.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yep, we hear you.
Good evening.
Hi. So I have actually 2 questions and a suggestion. So I'm going to start with the suggestion. Can you allow the students to print out from the Chromebook? The last school year they couldn't, and when I asked the technician. But now it's different.
I'm sorry, we lost you midway through.
Yeah, the connection dipped out.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, so I have 2 questions and suggestion. Okay, so my suggestion is, can we allow the students to print out from the Chromebook? As the last school year they couldn't, and when I asked the IT technicians, they said because they didn't used to print out at school, you know, from the Chromebooks, but now it's different. They have the Chromebooks at home, and you know, every time I need to print out something for them, I had to open the Google Classroom from my cell phone and print it out. So can we add this option to print out from the Chromebook?
So printing as a whole is not restricted on the devices. It matters if the printer that you have in your home is capable of being printed to by the Chromebook. So I know that most HP printers are compatible with just having a cable and plugging it in. When it comes to Canon and Epson, though, a lot of them are just not.
I have Samsung.
And not able to. Samsung?
Yeah.
For the printer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
and actually, when I asked them, they said no. They're not allowed to print out. So that's what they said.
As I say, no. I'm gonna have to check and see which tech had given that response. But either way, like there's no block in place to prevent them from printing. We don't have any printers installed on any of their devices, especially while they're at school. So like the devices don't have any printers on them. but
Yeah.
we don't have any restriction preventing them from being put on. So I guess it's a little both. Like
Okay.
if you have a USB cable, you plug in the printer and it's able to print, that's great.
Okay.
Like we have allowed the HP print add-on for anyone to use, and if there's one specifically for Samsung printers, I'm fine allowing it if that's the case. I
Okay.
know that there was an Epson one I allowed, but only about 10% of Epson printers actually function with it, and the rest don't.
Okay.
It's
All
very
right.
hit or miss. It's hit or miss whether or not they will accept the print job or not. The
Okay.
idea of opening it on your phone and printing is a very inventive solution. That's good though. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I just want them to be like more, independent and to print out from their, Chromebooks. So, okay, that's fine. So I have two questions. So I was looking at the regular or the general ed schedule, and it seems like there is no recess, in the schedule. I do see just, the lunchtime. So I feel it's, having a recess for the kids is very important for them, to break down to have a break during the day. They can, still like go outside for a walk or play bike or, play with their favorite toy, like, like free play. So I know that I have two kids that have IEP, so it's a little bit different. So is any way that we can put like recess in the middle of the day for them?
My understanding is that recess can occur during the asynchronous time, and that would be to your discretion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So it's going to be in the afternoon.
Well, we'll walk through a day in the life of schedules. So I don't have that in front of me right now. So.
Okay.
It varies on the schools. Some of the schools have their synchronous in the morning, and some of them have them in the afternoon.
Okay, they're
To try
attending
to split up.
Hall Elementary.
So elementary, I believe, is in the mornings, and your asynchronous is in the afternoon. So the synchronous is the direct instruction from the teacher, and then that's the time when they should be sitting there. But the asynchronous, like if they want to work on a little bit of work now, a little bit of work later, like the asynchronous time is more free, especially if they need help and assistance by you in the evenings. Like any of that work, yeah, usually can be done, as you're able to assist.
Okay. Yeah. And my last question is, will the sessions will be recorded? I'm asking about this because what if my son left for a few minutes to use the bathroom or something like that, or I know that you were talking about like if the student has like a tantrum or so, the paraprofessional can take him alone and do her job with him. But what if he got distracted for a few minutes, or when left the session for like use a bathroom or so, or for any reason, can we put like pre-recorded sessions or videos to support the kids, the students more if they need more help, maybe in the evening or the afternoon?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we are not recording the sessions, such as if your student or your child were to have an episode or something like that, they wouldn't be recorded. But yes, on an individual basis, just reaching out to your case manager and talking about videos and talking about different things that could support both of your children throughout the school day, whether it be during that asynchronous time. I know at the elementary level, we are looking at things like boom cards and videos, especially that go alongside with our intensive teaching that could follow. So we are, that is a practice that we are looking at.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, no more hands for this section.
Okay, so we'd like to kind of go over a day in the life. We have some sample schedules for students at each grade level. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gradnitsky to kind of talk through what a day in the life of a special education student may look like.
All right, so I'm going to take you through two schedules. We're going to go through a schedule that is primarily focused on our learning support students and our emotional support students, and then we'll go into a schedule that's primarily focused for our low incidence population, such as AS, MDS, life skills. Please, I want to throw this out there right now. This schedule is just an example. It does not mean that this is going to be your child's schedule. It truly is just an example. I know myself and the other supervisors are really working hard alongside all of our special education teachers to make sure that they are creating schedules that do meet the needs of all of their students. So just to start with this schedule, every day there will be a homeroom that is from 9 to 9:20. That will take place with the general education teacher, and that will be a synchronous session, so that will be live. From there, in this schedule, we go into ELA, and the way that the elementary blocks are scheduled is they're pretty much 40-minute sessions. So the ELA would be a 40-minute session. So depending on your student and their inclusion, they could be, the student that we have here in this example would be included for the entire ELA block in the morning with the general education teacher, and this would be synchronous. Some of the other things we are looking at is a co-teaching model, so there could be a special education teacher working alongside the general education teacher in any of these academic areas that are occurring in the morning that are synchronous. So following that, we move into writing. Also a 40-minute block that would take place with the general education teacher in the general education classroom for that platform, and that will also be synchronous. Again, there could be some type of co-teaching or push-in from the special education teacher at this time. And then next, I have special areas. So that is your art, gym, music, library, and health at the elementary level. That will also be 40 minutes. That will be in the general education classroom, in the special area teacher classroom, and that will be synchronous. We then have our lunch, which is 30 minutes. That would be asynchronous. That would be a time for the students to not be on the Chromebook and to take a breather, take a break. From there, they would come back and go into science and social studies, also a 40-minute block. And like I've stated in the other areas, this could occur just with the general education teacher or a co-teaching model. And that would also be synchronous. From there, we go into math, 40 minutes in the general education classroom. This would be synchronous learning. So for this particular student, it looks like they receive 30 minutes of reading support pull out and 30 minutes of math support pull out, which is a frequent service pull out in some of our IEPs, really dependent on skill and need. So what that would look like is the student would be pulled into a smaller group with the special education teacher, and that would also be synchronous. And then moving from that, from reading to math, they would also be pulled out for that math support, and they would receive those services in the special education platform or classroom with the special education teacher, and that would be synchronous as well. Not all students get reading and math. Some students might be pulled for reading for part of the afternoon, and then the rest of the afternoon could be asynchronous, and vice versa with reading. So then the last block comes out 2:50 to 3:20, and then I looked at a student that may have reading and math support, but also get social skills once a week and then counseling once a week. So I said that for that Monday, they would have their social skills at that point. They might also have their counseling the next day. And then maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they are working asynchronous and doing something that a teacher has assigned to them. So that could look both ways. Okay. You want to go to the next one? Awesome, thank you. So this schedule is a little bit different. I want to say, and I know I said this a little bit before in the last question that was asked regarding a student in our low incidence population, but we are very well aware that we have to do some pairing with our students, and what that means is just to have them, require them to sit in front of the computer, we're going to start with just reinforcing them to make them want to sit in front of the computer. So we're looking at working students up to the full day, but we are also keeping their needs in mind and what that looks like and how we can accommodate them utilizing research-based practices that have been provided to us from Patan. And a lot of our teachers did go through a training that gave them some of this information to help benefit our students. So the way this one looks is, like I said, a little bit different. So from 9 to 9:30 it would be a whole group morning meeting, and it looks like here it's all of the students, and then in that setting would be a special education teacher and a paraprofessional, and that would be synchronous. With that being said, we do have the capability of doing breakout sessions, so the paraprofessional could pull a small group from that setting if need be. Our second session, and especially with our low incidence population, we're looking at providing individual instruction, because we do utilize an ABA practice called intensive teaching, and this does need to be done one-on-one. So we are looking to provide our students with individualized sessions to work on that, and then that would be on the platform alongside us, maybe a special education para that might be working with some of the other students, or some of the other students could be doing something that is asynchronous. From there, this student has speech and language therapy, so they would be pulled and working with the speech clinician, and that would be synchronous. We did build in a sensory break. So I know a parent had asked about recess, and I do think that a sensory break doesn't necessarily take the place of recess, but it does give that outlet to the children. The next area would be just a read aloud an activity. It could be synchronous. We go into specials with the special area teacher, which is also synchronous. We have our lunch, which is asynchronous. We move into whole group social skills, which could be alongside both the special education teacher and paraprofessional. Next, we have an asynchronous activity or activities listed, and I talk about boom cars, which is a practice you might see from your teachers. We have sensory activities again, and other assignments as deemed appropriate by the special education teacher. And then at the end of the day, we have two sessions, one with a reading program, one with a math program, and that is where the special education teacher would utilize the programs that we normally use in school through the virtual model and instruct the students with both the special education teacher and the paraprofessional done in a synchronous manner. And then our last section, which is the 2:45 to 3:20 time, I have on here manding, tacting, communication, and snack. This is also something we typically do in the school day, and it gives the students a time to just work on those communication skills with the special education teacher. So I know that was a lot, so I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Fierro so he can walk you through some middle school sample schedules.
Thank you, Erin. So the middle school, we're really trying to make sure that the models, although the times may change, many of our models are going to stay very, very similar. I'm going to run through a day in the life first of learning support or emotional support schedule. And in this example, we have a student who receives 30 minutes of pull out for reading and 30 minutes for math. We receive social skills and also counseling. So as we spoke earlier about the homeroom, 8 o'clock, we have the homeroom, and that can, for this one specific example, would be the general education classroom. And after that, the middle school mornings are typically the asynchronous time. And this is where a lot of our special education case managers are going to be reaching out to provide those additional supports and services along many times with our related services. So at 8:17 to 8:57, we have that pull out reading instruction, followed by math support from 8:58 to 9:38. And then at 9:39 to 10:19, you see this looks a little hectic. So on Monday, the student is going to be receiving the related service for social skills for 30 minutes, and that's a synchronous activity. And then on Thursday, they're going to be receiving the counseling service. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, this is time where they can have sessions with the teacher, any one of their teachers, whether it's their science, social studies, math, case manager. They could be catching up on work, working in small groups. And this could be asynchronous or synchronous, depending on if they're meeting with a related service provider, one of their teachers, or if they're catching up on some of their independent coursework in an asynchronous manner. From 10:20 to 11 o'clock, it would be that time for this specific schedule would be that asynchronous time as well. There's no time that related services are being provided to this student during this time, but there may be in other schedules. In the middle schools from 11 to 11:30 is the lunchtime, the asynchronous lunchtime for students across all three middle schools. From 11:30 to 12:21, student would be in science social studies, which would be synchronous. And in this example, would be general education, 12:23 to 1:14 math, 1:16 to 2:07. We have our specials. Students will be receiving their specials, their arts or music, physical education, and 2:09 to 3 o'clock would be the English and language arts in this specific schedule. Again, as you've heard previously, this is just an example of one student in particular. Many student schedules will look different, especially in the morning asynchronous time. Next slide, I will be looking at the day in the life of a student. This would be in the life skills support. It could be an autistic support. It could be a multiple disability support classroom. And you'll notice this one looks a little bit different. Just given the nature of the instruction and the classes that are happening. So 8 to 8:30, we have the whole group meeting. And this is going to occur with a special education teacher, along with the paraprofessional, synchronous. 8:30 to 9 o'clock, there would be a science or social studies. And in this, it could be in the classroom with the life skills, the special education classroom, or some students may be in the general education classroom, dependent on their schedule and their program. From 9 to 9:30, in this particular schedule, we have intensive teaching, which is synchronous with a special education teacher. 9:30 to 10, we have those supplemental activities, asynchronous. And this is a time where we want to build in whether it's going to be supplemental boom cards, sensory activities, whether it's a sensory break. This would be asynchronous time for students to be able to get away from some of that screen time, have that break before re-engaging. From 10 to 10:45 and 10:45 to 11:15, we have that reading instruction and math instruction. And in this example, from 11:15 to 12 o'clock, we have this class has a lunch break. From 12 until 12:30, there's going to be a read aloud or an activity provided. And in this case, it will be synchronous with the paraprofessionals. So some of the pullouts, some of the activities, the paraprofessionals will have side classrooms that they'll be supporting our students in. From 12:30 to 1 o'clock, we're going to have, either with the special education or the paraprofessional, another set of group work, or in this case, the student may have social skills with the class, whether we're working on, yet again, some sort of social activity, social skills, or it may be, sometimes we'll have virtual field trips built in, and this would be in this schedule of time for that. 1 to 1:40, our student will head to specials, the gym, the art, the music, with the special area teacher, again, synchronously. 1:40 to 2:10, we'll have more time to have sensory break or other activities. And from 2:10 to 2:40, we'll have related service. So related services would be scheduled within the student's schedule. Sometimes they may happen during those supplemental activities. In this instance, it's 2:10 to 2:40. They'll be working with the related service provider. Their other classmates may be having an asynchronous activity, or maybe in a pull-out session with a paraprofessional. So I feel like we kind of threw a lot at you. I'll throw it off to Jeff, and then I believe after we go through the high school schedule, we can take some questions.
All right, hello, good evening, everybody. I'm going to start also going through the learning support schedule, day in the life of a high school student. With the learning support students, they will be following the block schedule, as will everybody else at the high school, going through their gen ed classroom. So the way that it's set up is basically in 40-minute block schedules. So you'll do your block 1 through 4 synchronously in the morning. At that point, you would then have your lunch break. And then in the afternoon, the way that the high school schedule is set up is from 11:15 until 12:10 is asynchronous, kind of follow-ups to the morning lessons. But for our learning support students, this would also be a time where they can catch up with their case manager, meet up with teachers and things of that nature to get some extra support if they are requesting it or if they need it. That can look a couple of different ways. It can be more just emailing the case manager one day and saying, hey, I need some help. Can we set up a session? Or it can be, look, I know I'm going to have trouble with math. Can I set up a session with you every other day at 1 o'clock? And the case managers will be able to schedule that up. it is important to know that with the high school schedule there, is that availability in the afternoon if students are working or things like that. So, we may have to coordinate schedules, to make sure that it's meeting the needs of your student and, also allowing them to do what they need to do as a teenager. Go on to the low incidence schedule, please, Leo. And this one's a little bit harder to read because it's a little bit more jam-packed. Hopefully it's coming up a little bit bigger on your screen. But again, this is just a sample schedule. The autistic support and MDS classes will be running somewhat similar, and then the learning support classes will be a little bit different from what we're seeing here, but the general idea will be the same. So they'll start every day off with their morning meeting. That's just a way to kind of get everybody up, get them going, see what everybody's up to, how their night was, things like that. Then they'll have 2 consecutive synchronous schedules. One would be possibly like their music, their art class, their gym class, and then followed by the intensive teaching instruction for those that are doing the IT. And then as a group with the para support, they'd be doing like read alouds, again, some social activities. From there, they'll have a break with their asynchronous time. During that time, they'd be doing their ADLs or their activities of daily living, which would be the same thing as they'd be doing in school. So it could be, today I want you to kind of go and help out around the house. Maybe you're going to learn how to sweep. We're going to go through sweeping. We're going to bake a cake. Maybe not. That might be a little too much. But just ideas of things that they can do, honestly, that would help out around the house and get them up and moving a little bit. After that, we'll break back into a synchronous activity for social skills. Again, just different things to kind of, one thing that we know we're going to be missing, obviously, in a virtual world is social, but, want to try and give the kids as many opportunities as possible to have time to interact with their classmates and their teachers. From there, we'll have 2 asynchronous times. One would be for vocational activities, again, with para support, though, if need be, again, trying to get some of those things that they would be doing, like within the kitchen and the apartment setting at the high school, trying to get them up and doing it a little bit around the house. And then we would end our day with one would be the intensive teaching block again, where students would be doing their IT or their direct instruction. And then also some group activities with their paras doing, some read aloud, some social games and activities. And then at the end of the day would be the last session for their activities of daily living. This could also be time for, some independent work for those that, are able to do the, reading from a book or something like that. So that's pretty much a day in the life of our autistic support, life skill support, and MDS support. And in that situation, I guess now we will go to, there's a couple of hands raised there, Leo.
Sorry, are we moving on to the questions for this section?
Yeah, Leah, if we want to go ahead and do the questions, the hands raised at this point.
First one I have is Karen.
I'm good. Sorry, that's my error. I'm good.
Okay, then next up I have Andy.
Hi, when will when will we receive these detailed schedules for our children? Just because school starts in 2 days, just want to be on top of, anything that we need to prepare for.
I can speak for myself at the high school. Literally, as we were in here, I just sent an email out to all my teachers and basically said, if you have not done so yet, you need to reach out to your families by the end of the day tomorrow. with an email letting them know who you are, and it should also come with that schedule. I can say, what specific level are we asking for?
Middle school, East Norton.
Because I was going to say, with the high school, the schedules are already done for students in learning support for the low incidence. They will be shared with you if they have not been by the end of the day tomorrow.
Thanks. Question for IT, or just maybe anyone in general. Are we using Gmail for email for the kids, or Schoology for email?
I can answer that. Gmail is the preferred mail for just about everything. Schoology is a place to post assignments and post, discussion threads and a lot of that. If they're going to do mail, it actually should go into their Gmail if they're emailed anything out of the program.
Thanks, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Okay, next up I have Matt.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So I was looking at the schedule. My son's going is in the middle school, and the synchronous times. It seems like there's very little space between them. Couple questions with that. One, do they have to sign into a different class each time for that? I guess is the first question, or is it just one long classroom that they're in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can just speak to GoGuardian. The platform that we're using right now, the students will be prompted to go into classes. And I believe the way the schedule is, that they do look back to back, but I believe the teachers will be in the middle schools leaving a few minutes in between each course to give the students a chance to, that this class is finalized, have a few minute break before starting the next class starts. So they'll be prompted with a little alert within GoGuardian to enter the next class. So they don't ever have to leave. They don't have to find a link or anything. It's all going to be within the GoGuardian platform.
Okay, and that pretty much answers my second one. My second one was going to be, like, since they have to be there for every synchronous class, if they get up to go get something to drink or use the bathroom, are they going to be marked absent because they're not there at the very beginning?
No, absolutely. They'll be logged in, and I mean, if they're logged in and nobody's there the whole period, that's one thing. But no, students are allowed to use the bathroom and get a drink of water. That's fine.
And then one last question. I know some students, I mean, it's not so much with mine, but I know some students are very shy about being on camera. Does the camera have to be on all the time, or do they have the option to shut it off if they're not comfortable being on camera?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a question that if your son or daughter or any student has a situation like that, that's something that we could definitely approach the teacher with and come up with some sort of way that we can support. So I wouldn't say a student has to be subjected to being on the camera the whole time. We just want to make sure that the student is logged in and participating in the class activity.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Stacy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to clarify when I was looking at the schedule for the high school students, they're going to do the block learning, synchronous learning in the morning, but I don't see in the example, and I wasn't sure if it was mentioned, are there any special time frames that are set aside for emotional support? So, my son isn't going to reach out. That is one of the issues that he has, that he receives emotional support for, is that he tends to bottle things up until he has outbursts. So is it on our student? Is the onus on them to reach out every time they're having an issue during asynchronous time? Or is there going to be something kind of built into their schedule where they're being reached out to, where they have to participate in some kind of speaking with the caseworker, or just wasn't sure about that?
Yeah, so that's why that, like, if you look at like the afternoon block, basically from 11:15 to 2:10 is asynchronous time, and like on the schedule I just have it as, time to complete independent work or meet with their case managers. So that will be one of those things. So if it's known that that your son or daughter needs, to meet with the case manager every other day, just as a check-in, or every day as a check-in, those types of things will be scheduled through with the case manager then. Again, it's a little hard to kind of put every piece of information in that afternoon, but realistically for the high school learning support students and ES students, it really will be that time that's more individualized for what their specific needs are. So they'll do their synchronous learning in the morning and then get more of their individualized support in the afternoon. If, assuming they're available, they're not working and all of that stuff, the case managers will be scheduling that time with them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The next name?
Hello?
Hey, there we go.
Hey, good evening.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear my name. Hi, yeah, good evening. So I'm a parent of a new student to the district and to elementary school. He's starting kindergarten in the fall. He also has already an IEP. So I guess I'm just trying to visualize, like looking at that schedule for like the elementary school schedule, just how that works. My question is two-part. So like, is it that the therapist or the paraprofessional, are they going to be co-teaching with the teacher? Like how, or are the students that do have like special needs, are they separated from the general class? Like I'm just trying to visualize it, and not sure if I quite understand.
Hi, so I can definitely touch on that, your first question. So it's definitely based on student need. So there are students that will be in a co-taught setting. So it might be the entire kindergarten class, and there might be a gen ed teacher and a special ed teacher, and then the special ed teacher has the capability of pulling small groups from that class. And that's not something that your child will have to navigate. It's something that will just pop up on their computer. And then with that being said, we do also have students with, based on their IEP and based on their needs, might get pull-out instruction. So it really, the case managers are really going to go through this with you to make sure you are aware of how that looks and the services that your child is getting. I'm going to revert back to, I especially because you're new to the district, you're trying to understand and figure out, what's happening, not only in the virtual setting, but in Norristown as well. But I am going to definitely tell you that you should reach out to the case manager or the classroom teacher just to talk, just so they can walk you through specifically for your child what that will look like.
Okay.
I think you, welcome. So we're happy to have you in the district. And your child. I think another piece of that is also with our kindergartners, we know this is going to be very different for all of our kindergartners. I have one myself, to be honest with you. So navigating and helping them to navigate the Chromebooks and things of that nature. I would imagine really when we first get going, a lot of what the kindergartners are going to be doing is really teachers walking them through everything.
Okay, yeah.
Step by step, over and over, because this is a completely different situation for them. And really, the beginning weeks of school, it is going to be more about getting acquainted and understanding how to use the technology, where buttons are, and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so then my next question is, which I think was kind of mentioned with the high school's support. But so the teachers, I guess, do they already know who is, like, who has an IEP and all of that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So actually, just to give you a little bit of insight into the process, as soon as your child was registered, it went to me, and then I notified the case manager, and we walked through each student and their IEP and some of the things that we know that they need, you know, in order to make progress. So they have all of that information.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And that's the same K-12. All of the reg ed teachers, all of the special ed teachers have access to all of the IEPs, reevaluations, evaluations, but the reg ed teachers also have access to that as well. So they've been reviewing that information in addition to the special ed teachers.
I'm sorry. Who did, what was that? The
regular ed teachers.
Oh, the regular ed. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so they have
Gotcha.
access as well. Yep.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. And next we have Susan.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Just a quick question. First, I want to thank everybody for all the work that you guys are doing behind the scenes. Just for the pullouts for like GIPs and for someone in speech, they traditionally start a few weeks into the school year. Is that going to be the same with the virtual platform, or is it possible that those might start right away from the beginning? Maybe that's a bonus of the virtual world that they could get into those classes and those support classes right away.
Yes, so again, looking at speech, absolutely. Speech therapists do have their caseload, so they will be looking to start scheduling, working with teachers to start scheduling those sessions. So that should not take weeks by any means. And in terms of gifted, I believe, and Julie, correct me if I'm wrong,
We're
but
targeting of the 7th when they come back from Labor Day. You should be hearing, you know, they should be starting instruction. They're spending next week again getting ready, but yes, it will start off sooner.
Okay. That's what I kind of figured.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
And
nice
for,
finding one blessing, right, in all of this.
well, that's what I figured. And for the middle school gifted, I'm assuming that's going to be in the morning. They're going to have like a whole block or a whole class period, like they would normally get pulled out. That'll be during the asynchronous time in the morning, correct?
I'll say potentially. And I say potentially because they're working on schedules and what that will look like and pairing and grouping kids. But I'm sorry, I'm in the dark right now. But yes, so the asynchronous time would be their time to do their whole group classroom type instruction. And then they will also be pushing in to the gen ed classes.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's all.
Sure.
Okay, next up we have Erin.
Hi, this is actually under my husband's name, but I had a question about the OT and PT and whatnot. I got contacted by the OT asking like what time she wanted me to schedule, and I was just a little confused because I thought they would be working with the teachers to set that up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Nope. Have at it.
I do think they are working with the teachers, but I also think they're trying to accommodate everybody.
Okay.
I can look into this situation specifically, but just know that I think that was more or less just to make sure they were accommodating you as well as the teacher. But I'll look into that specific situation.
Well, because the schedule that you guys showed for elementary was different than the schedule that was shown last week in the presentations about elementary. So I didn't want to set something up if the schedule isn't set, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so no, the schedule that you saw for elementary is what it is. Mine was just an example, but
okay.
So every grade in every building has subjects at a different time. The one common thing that occurs across all levels is there is a designated period for synchronous learning. So elementary is 9 to 1:40. So that's the same, that was the same in the schedule you saw last week. So my schedule was just looking at, it might have been different than what they had what you were able to see last week. The synchronous learning is the same.
Okay, so when I contact the OT, I can just say like anytime after this, and then she should work around that.
Yeah, but I also, I mean, we need to work as a school-based team too. So we all have to work together to make sure that time works. So
Right.
I will work on that.
Okay.
And we're meeting with our OT-PT team actually this week. So, you know, we'll be outlining all of that again with them as well.
Okay, great. Because I know, like, specified in my daughter's IEP is that her pullouts for her therapies come out of her special education time, but now there's going to be more push-ins with the special education during general ed. So I know that's going to be a little more complicated.
And thank you for bringing that question.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next we have Dara.
Yeah, mine was just to, I guess, to piggyback on what Mrs. Keller just said was, I guess, you know, it's tough because the therapists have to see so many kids and they're going to, I know they've been overwhelmed, they're going to be overwhelmed. And yet, like, as teachers and parents, you know, we're feeling obligated to like be having our kids, no matter what functioning level they're at, to be, you know, making sure that they're, you know, attending class appropriately, that whether it's that they're included or whether they're, you know, having a specialized schedule. But just, I think, like, I know, like, I'm talking to the school district on Monday to have a meeting, and that's one thing, is to talk about the best schedule for my child, but also how does therapy work in there? Because I also had a therapist reach out to me today saying, when is a good time you want to meet? And or like have the therapy sessions. And I sort of felt the same way, as like, I don't know when the best time is to pull my child out. I don't want to say, yes, let's do 10 a.m. And that's an awful time for because the teachers are trying to include her either in a regular class or whether we're doing more of direct instruction of something. So I feel like as a parent, I told her, I don't really know right now when to tell you is a good time to pull my child out for therapy. And my child has OT, PT, and speech, which all meet several times a week. So that's something that I'll have to figure out when we meet on Monday.
And I'm definitely going to own this one, because the OTs and PTs should be working directly with the teachers to figure this out. To Ms. Grodnitsky's point, I think they're trying to accommodate families based on their schedules, but not communicating with the case manager. So I'm going to own that. And I'm going, as I said, I'm meeting with all of them tomorrow. So I will definitely make sure there's that understanding that they're working with the teachers to find the best right time based on the schedule.
Last spring in ESY, it worked out that they were meeting with us, you know, I was getting meetings almost every morning, different times and stuff, because like ESY was just like, I think 30 minutes at a certain time in the morning, and we made that work. But then like last spring, for example, you know, because the kids weren't getting live teaching, you know, we were doing the classwork around the therapist schedule. And so it worked. But this time, since there's really like a set schedule and kids are supposed to be attending to things, that will make it harder. I know that it just works better, obviously, in person when kids are getting pulled out and then kind of brought back into class. And it's, you know, again, I guess we'll have to figure out how that's going to work, because, you know, therapists obviously can't meet everyone's child after 1:30 because they would never be able to fit everybody in. So I don't know how to work, but.
Well, and honestly, that's not even for you to figure out. That's for us to figure out, especially to your point. We have the schedule. We know where kids are and what they're going to be doing. And we know that, you know, for the most part, they're going to be home, right? So that's for us to figure out and take the burden off of you. So again, I'm definitely going to address that with them. So please don't feel worried if you're not sure when to schedule it, because we will have them meet with the teachers and they can figure out what the best time to pull your child, everyone's child who receives those services, when the best right time is for that.
Okay.
And just to piggyback off of Mrs. Malator, it is our job to figure that out, but it's our job to figure that out based off of each student's individual unique needs, so that their specific needs are taken into consideration when we are developing those schedules.
Right. And that's one thing that I want to talk about when we have our meeting, you know, just making a specific kind of schedule and then figuring out then where the therapies are going to fit in.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, there are no more hands up for this section.
All right, so we are coming closely to a close. So the remainder of our presentation is really just additional information. Some of these topics came up earlier in the presentation. So talking about evaluations and IEPs, we are moving forward with evaluations. They will resume. Our school psychologists will be able, they will start reaching out, making contact to set those things up. It may look different. A portion of that may be virtual as we're doing, but the important piece is, in all honesty, the most information you can provide us when we ask for your parent input and those rating scales, that will certainly help us. But evaluations will resume. I'll be honest with you, we are looking at all the evaluations and trying to figure out the best way to look at the ones that we started last year to make sure those get completed, and then moving, sorry again, I'm in the dark, and then moving on to those that are due this year. So, but rest assured, we will be resuming those evaluations. So if an evaluation was started last year, we are not starting from the beginning. We will pick up where we left off, but we will have to ask that you sign another permission to evaluate. But again, if things have already been completed, we are not redoing those sections unless we're adding to that, but certainly not starting from scratch. I think I mentioned all of that. Again, timelines, and the same thing with IEPs. We're continuing with our timelines. We will continue to have IEP meetings. Leah, if you can go on to the next. All of our IEP meetings will be done virtually or via phone, again, just as we've been doing and whatnot. We are looking into, and I hope I'm not being presumptuous, but we are looking into doing something with an electronic signature to make that easier for parents as well. So more to come there. And again, progress monitoring and benchmark assessments will continue. So even our testing that we did in person throughout the year, that will continue this year as well. And the good news is we've seen and went through all the bumps last year, so now we'll be even better at it. So another area I just wanted to bring up, again, is compensatory services. We know things were very difficult during the school closure. And we also know that kids may have regressed in terms of their skills. We know that kids may have retained some of their skills. But for those who have regressed, we recognize that they will be in need of compensatory services. And those services are for students who do exhibit significant regression on their IEP goals, and they're unable, or it takes a really long time for them to recoup those skills. So in order to determine the need for those services, we'll be collecting baseline data in the fall. We'll be reviewing it, analyzing it to determine if regression has occurred and if there's a lack of recoupment. And then if the data confirms there is a regression, we'll be reaching out to schedule a meeting with you to go over next steps. So again, we recognize, last year was difficult. Students may have lost some skills, but we are going to work with you to figure out a way to help them regain them. So again, just determining the need for it. It's all going to be data driven. So that's the main key. And like I said, after reviewing and analyzing the data, we'll be reaching out to schedule meetings to determine the next steps. And again, just for very specific student questions, contact the case manager or the school counselor. If you have really an overall general question based on all the information you've heard, which I know is a lot, and you've had to take in a lot, and I praise you for being with us this long. You know, please let us know.
All right, there's currently no hands raised.
Questions? All right, well, that concludes our presentation. Again, thank you all for coming, asking wonderful questions, giving us some feedback, and we really are looking forward to the upcoming school year. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the night, and this is going to be the last weekend before school starts, so enjoy it.
Good night, everybody.